Is it time to graduate to something serious? I'm talking about a 6-bay NAS. I've looked at a lot of 4-bay NASs. There's many reasons why you may want to consider a 6-bay NAS, especially if you're someone running a small business, a home business, or if you're doing something creative, or maybe you just really want your data to be secure. And to celebrate World Backup Day, did you know that was a holiday? Well, it is, and it's a very important holiday. Right now, they've got a 20% off coupon. That is all going to be down in the description. That's up to $300 off. So check out the links below. We've got Amazon and UGREEN links down there. 20% off until the 31st. So yay, World Backup Day. Get everything backed up with one of these, why don't you? So you get RAID 6 when it comes to 6-bay NASs, and we'll talk about all that in just a second. So when it comes to like performance and all the features that you get, I think the best option out there is the UGREEN NASync DXP6800 Pro. The reason this one's so fancy is because we have a 12-thread CPU. It's 10 cores. 2 of those cores are performance cores that are hyper-threaded. It's an Intel i5, so you get a lot of cores. I think that's the right decision because the way a NAS works is there are always tons of little things going on at the same time. You can have VMs going and some apps going, and there can be multiple people streaming video content to their devices or whatever. So all that stuff's going to be happening at the same time, and having all these cores, you don't need big beefy cores. These efficiency cores will do just fine for that. Having all these cores available, they're also low power, is going to really help when it comes to that. Then if you need something with some muscle, like some transcoding or whatever, we do have a couple of the performance cores that are hyper-threaded. So I think that's a good choice for the CPU when it comes to price to performance ratio. Having lots and lots of cores means we can run lots of VMs and do all kinds of things. On top of all that, it's extremely low power. What's the difference between RAID 5 and 6? Well, RAID 5 gives you a little bit more storage, one extra drive worth of storage, but you can only have one drive fail at a time. I always replace it as soon as I see any errors, but you know, if something were to happen and 2 drives fail, you're out of luck. That's why RAID 6 is nice. You can have 2 drives fail, and as long as you replace them, you'll be just fine. So that's what I think is really nice about having a 6-bay NAS. We can do RAID 6, we can have 2 drives worth of parity, and then not have to worry at all. It's better for like overall data security. Next up, this NAS uses DDR5. And DDR5 not only is faster than DDR4 that we see in some of the competitors, but DDR5 also is much better when it comes to bit flipping and error correction. It's almost like ECC, like very close to ECC, even though it's not ECC. And the fact that it's not ECC means it's a lot less expensive, and you can, get stuff that's compatible and it'll work just fine. This one comes with 8 gigabytes of memory, rated at 4800 megatransfers. Now that's going to be totally fine for running a bunch of apps and doing some video streaming, but if you're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff with like virtual machines, you might want to go ahead and grab a second stick, or you just upgrade your memory. Try it out first and just see how it runs with the 8, and if you don't need any more, then you're good to go. Next up, the UGREEN has more options when it comes to the ports, and the ports are faster. You got an SD card slot, so you can just dump stuff straight to the NAS from your SD card. Then we have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports in the front. So the Thunderbolt 4 connection can be used for data transfer. It can also be used to charge your devices, and then you can like daisy chain hard drives if you want to. We've got 2 of those right there on the front. Beside that, we have our USB port. On the back, we have an HDMI port. Right beside that, that's USB 3.2. That'll be 10 gigabits per second. Then we have 2 USB 2.0 ports. You can hook up mouse, keyboard, whatever to that. Then we have 2 10 gig Ethernet ports. That's right, 10 gig. Let me just show you something real quick. One of the reasons I've been talking about UGREEN stuff so much, I've used a lot of Synology products in the past. I've got a Synology NAS in the other room, but I want to show you something right here. This is their 6-bay NAS, and it's got a quad-core CPU. It is hyper-threaded, so it's actually a pretty decent CPU. It's not going to keep up with the 10 cores, 12 threads, but it's something. You get 4 gigabytes of DDR4. It's ECC, it's more expensive. DDR5, like I said, is almost as secure as ECC DDR4. This is also a little bit slower. So you only get 4 gigabytes of that. And then if you scroll down, you'll see that we have 4 gigabit Ethernet ports. Now you can do link aggregation, but even if you did link aggregation, it's still not going to be as fast as a single 10 gigabit Ethernet port on the UGREEN. Now the UGREEN also is backwards compatible with 1 gigabit and 2.5 gigabit as well as 5 gigabit Ethernet, so you can hook it up to whatever you have. I only have 2.5 gigabit in this place, but when I move now, I'm going to go ahead and wire the place for 10 gigabit Ethernet because we've got RJ45 right there that'll take care of it. Also, it does come with a Cat 7 cable. Nice to have that in the box. One last thing that I like about this is that the power is internal. It just has a standard 3-prong plug that you plug in, the same thing you plug up to all your power supplies on your computer. The power is internal. Don't have to worry about anything else. Now, if we look at the bottom, we have a very easy to remove little door, just 2 screws, and then you pop that out. and we can install some M.2 as well as there's access to our RAM. Now we have 2 NVMe M.2 slots right there. Maximum capacity right there is you can have 2 8TB M.2 if you want to throw some money at those M.2. Now one of the beautiful things about having this is that the UGREEN OS is not installed there. It's actually installed on another M.2 that's internal. So these can be used for, well, you can use them for caching, you can create another storage pool out of those two, or you can use them to install alternative operating systems, because this is compatible with whatever. I mean, it's a computer and they're allowing you to install whatever you like on there, like TrueNAS, Proxmox, Unraid, whatever. You can install whatever you like. You could even install just Linux and Windows and have a ton of hard drives. It doesn't matter, they don't care. But I like the fact that we have these there. That way you just have to go into your UEFI BIOS and switch between the different boot devices and then go, try out some different operating systems. If you need even more storage, well, they've got an 8-bay version that's almost identical. It's the DXP8800 Plus. You still got your 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. It's very, very similar. You got the dual 10 gig Ethernet. Comes with 8 GB of memory, basically the same i5 CPU, same operating system. It's just you get a couple extra bays. So if you need 8 bays, then go that direction. And then last but not least, if you just need pure storage speed, they now have a new UGREEN product, the UGREEN NASync DXP4800 Plus. And this one just has 4 M.2 slots. So I've got 4 M.2. I'll be doing a video on this one very soon, but it's going to be very similar otherwise. And all these units that I've mentioned all have the UGREEN OS installed internally on a 128 GB SSD. So as you can see here, all these are very similar, but I'm going to be focusing on the DXP6800. But there's the NASync DXP8800 Plus. You can see very similar. So they're all getting that same i5 with 10 cores, 12 threads. So what do you need? Do you need those SATA bays? Or do you need like M.2? What do you need? Otherwise, the experience is going to be basically the same, with some obvious speed differences here when it comes to using the NASync DXP4800T. You're going to have more storage that's M.2. However, if you create a pool out of a couple M.2 and that's all you need, well, you can get one of the big units that has the SATA ports and the M.2 and kind of have the best of both worlds right there. So you can do that and then assign your 10 gig Ethernet to work with different pools for different things. But the first time it installs, it'll usually tell you the IP address. If you don't get the IP address, well, you can just head over to UGREEN's website and grab the app for whatever platform you're on, and then it'll basically find it and tell you your IP address. I'm going to go to that IP address, and then I'm going to go ahead and start everything right there. I got to click on the user agreement first. So give it a name. All right, so here's the deal with this. If you want to use the UGREEN Link remote access feature, you can do that here. It's very easy. You just go and use their service and you can connect to your NAS remotely. If you want to do it manually, like I do, using DDNS or something else, using your own domain, you can do that. That goes beyond the scope of this video, but I'm going to go ahead and skip this part because, like I said, I do it all manually and I don't use any of the linking. But if you wanted to link it up, you could do that. Just set it up with your email. The other benefit is you're going to get notifications whenever the device has an issue. You'll get an SMS or whatever. So we can all set this up later as well, but I'm going to skip it here. All right, there we go. I'm going to tell it to install the important updates. That'll do like security updates and stuff. And then we're going to go through the initialization. This won't take long. All right, so it took about 5 minutes and here we are. Now the first thing I'm going to do, it says start. It's going to go through a few things, show you around a little bit. And before I even do the storage manager stuff, the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and click on my control panel over here. And then I'm going to go down to update and restore and just make sure it says already the latest version. So just, update check. Yep, sure. All right, let's go ahead and set up our storage. I'm just going to do a RAID 6 volume. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to use all 6 of my disks. You can see RAID 5 has a little bit more available. I've got 4 terabyte Western Digital red drives. These are NAS grade. These are great drives. They're not huge, but if you're looking at some drives, these are some of the better drives out there. Now, if you want extreme data security, you can go RAID 10. I'm just going to do RAID 6. That'll give us 2 drives of parity. I don't want any data errors, and this is a pretty fast machine, so I'm okay with a tiny bit of a slowdown right there. So I'm going to enable that. Now we have 2 different options here. ext4 is tried and true. BTRFS at this point is tried and true as well, and this is going to allow you to do some snapshots and everything else. So this is what I want. Right here, BTRFS. All right, we've created volume 1. So we have 2 120 millimeter fans in this unit, and also in the 8-bay unit, we've got some big fans in there. These fans are nice and quiet. I've got the unit right here. I've decided not to put it in the other room. I wanted it right here while I'm working so I can hear what it's doing while I'm doing things. It's like whisper quiet. It's like quieter than my other NAS units. So that's nice, but it's also keeping our hard drives nice and cool As you can see here, they're all running at like 36, 37 idle, so totally fine. All right, there's our volumes. Now we need to create some shares. So we'll do that by just closing out of here. We're done here. We don't need, unless you need to mess with some external storage and set up some backups or whatever, but yeah. So that's all good. Please create your first folder. It's really like helping us through this. So yeah, we'll just do that. It opens up File Manager, and this is so easy. Like, why do they even need me to make a video? It's like gotten easier. These tutorials are making it too easy. It's not fair anymore. Let's go ahead and do a new shared folder. I'll just call it tech, and we'll have tech videos on there. Pick our storage location, no limit, whatever. And I'm going to have a recycle bin. That way when we delete stuff, it's not going to be deleted until we empty our recycle bin. And if you want to add some more users, you can give them all different access levels, which is nice. And that also applies to apps and stuff, and you can create user groups and all that. I'm sure a lot of you have done this before, but if not, it's really easy to do. So there's our first share. Now in order for this to work, we just need to come over here to our control panel and turn on some file services and stuff. So for Windows, I'm going to enable SMB. And I'm just going to leave workgroup here as the default. Go ahead, apply for that. If you want to use that Linux stuff, join the NFS. They're usually a little bit faster and better, but yeah, I'm not going to mess with that right now. You also have WebDAV if you want to be able to map network drives over the internet. Press Windows key R to bring up your run command, and then it's whack whack, which is backslash. It's much easier to say whack whack. And then just put in your IP address, press enter, and then it's going to ask for your username and password. Remember my credentials. Check it out. There is the network share that we just created. And if you had created more shares, you want to share for your movies or whatever, we can do that. I'm going to create another share for media. How about it? So let's go over to share folder, click on plus for new folder. I want it to be a share folder so I can see it on my network right there. And I'm just going to type media, put movies and music and all kinds of things in here. And good. We're all good. Create that. All right, cool. Now if I refresh this, look, there's media. It's that easy. It's so easy. And similar things for Linux. You just, all right, map network drive. Let's put it somewhere. Let's put it under, I don't know, S for Syndicate. There we go. And there it is. There's our recycle bin. This will fill up as we're doing stuff. All right, let's go ahead and show you around the rest of this. Now you know how to create your share folders. If we go to our control panel here, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we can come up here and add users and user groups. So if you want to have a guest user or whatever, you can invite people. Import users from other platforms. It's easy enough. File services, we've already looked at that. Here's our device connection. You can do remote access with the UGREEN link, or we can enable DDNS. And I've made videos on this in the past. Whatever, make a subdomain like ugreen.mydomain.com. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be UGREEN, as long as you point it here, and then just use DDNS. And there's lots of different DDNS servers out there. NoIP is the DDNS provider that I use. Joining domains, you can enable the terminal. I'm going to leave it off right now. SSH, I'm going to leave that off as well. I like to toggle these on and off as I need them so that they're not just open and hanging out. Hardware and power, I'm just going to leave my fan settings on default, but now we have power management. We have fan management. We can manage the beeps and everything if it's rebooting or whatever else. And we have memory compression. So we have so many things that they've been adding that were not there before. All right, let's take a look at our App Center. All right, NAS Common Software. Check this out. It's all just one thing. I love this. Install the NAS Common thing. Great. It's just installing everything together. Right here in the main thing, I want you to check this out. We've got Qubit Torrent right there in the main thing. If you want to install Firefox and run it here, you can. Jellyfin! They've added it! You got your Docker app right here. Security Manager, and I'm going to install this as well because with virtual machines, you can do anything. You're no longer limited. You can install other operating systems on your operating system. So I'm sure a lot of you know what virtual machines are, especially if you're looking at a 6-bay or an 8-bay NAS or an M.2 NAS. So now they're just all queued up for installation. If you want to do manual installations, you can do that over here. All right, so this is up and running. We got our backup. You can do sync. You can sync folders, create sync tasks, and we can also install the desktop app to create sync tasks, to sync up, like important folders on your desktop, have them sync up to your NAS, and they're always going to be synced. All right, stuff's starting to show up slowly. There's our albums. Cool. So this is working now. Awesome. Different artists. Hasn't populated yet. There we go, just waiting. It's not compatible with .opus files, so if you're like me and you have a bunch of opus files, you'll need to automatically rename those to OGG, because they're still, they'll still work just fine. So I've been doing all this, like everything here, and it's been, snappy. I've been pushing it. I've been dropping music in here at the same time. There we go, let's open up something, there we go. Been dropping these musics in here at the same time as I'm messing with the photos, at the same time as this has been installing in the background the entire time. So I didn't tell you that, did I? I actually started it installing and just let it go. So it's doing all that stuff at the same time, and that's thanks to the fact that we have 12 cores to play with right here. I mean 12 threads, 10 cores, but yeah. All right, so I've got one VM running. I'll show you the virtual machine manager. It's really, really easy to create a virtual machine. You just click on new VM right here. You can import a virtual machine or you can create it manually. Now the options are not going to be as vast as something like Proxmox, but I'll show you what we got. So I've got my Windows VM running. I'm going to go ahead and create a Linux. This is a Fedora VM. So you come down here and just click on Linux. There you go. Here's all your options just so you can see. Windows other. So there we go. And then I'll just do 2 cores. Yeah, 2 gigs of memory is plenty for this. Fedora, you can add more ISOs if you want to, like, you know, throw a VirtIO image or something on there for Windows, but you know, we don't need that for Linux. It already has VirtIO built in. So our network's going to be VirtIO, and also our disk is going to be VirtIO. Give it 30 so I can use this as a testing ground for just a few different things. So there's that. You can also come over to advanced and we have a few more options. Your USB controller, I'll just use the pass-through that we have right here. And I'm going to use BIOS because I want to be able to do snapshots. And if I do UEFI, the virtual machine might not work with snapshots. And I'll go ahead and set this to auto start. So whenever my NAS turns on, this VM will fire up. And now we've got Fedora 41 spinning up right here. So check this out. Right now I'm just using the VNC browser right here. And if I want a little bit more speed, I can just connect to this using remote desktop. Yes, self-signed certificates are fine by me. There we go. And now I'm right here on the desktop. I just need to install something. All right, so we got Fedora up and running right here. I have no idea what I grabbed. Thought I grabbed Plasma, but this is not Plasma. So whatever. We got this over here. This is how fast it's going to be if you're doing all this with the amount of RAM that I have. And if you're stressing it back and forth like I am. It's probably not a good idea to install a bunch of graphically heavy operating systems, but I did it, and you can. So right there, yep, hi. This is all running. Device memory is nearly full. So yeah, I shouldn't be installing these big operating systems like Fedora and Windows 10, but whatever. Video Center is going to be somewhat similar to like Plex or Jellyfin. We come in here and we can start creating some libraries. So I'm going to make one for anime. Language, do it in English, I guess. And then we'll add some folders here, and you can select pretty much any folder here. I'm going to go down to my shared folders where I have a media folder. And inside there, I've got my anime right there. I'll just select that folder. Good. Confirm. Now, if you want more metadata, if you want to get like more metadata so that your library has all kinds of interesting stuff, well, you can come over to the movie database, sign up, and then just go to your account and click on API right here. And you can request access to the API. Once I get it here, I'm going to click on developer, scroll all the way down. Yes. We have an article here, tells us what to put in there. You'll have to fill in all your personal information, then it'll give you an access token and an API key. So all we need here is just the API key, not the access token. And just paste it in here, check it to make sure it works. Success. So now we have our movie database key right there, and one library, and look at that, it's already pulling, let's check that out. It's just pulling all the information that it can find. I like old anime. All right, let's try something that's 1080p. Shows. That's pretty cool. All right, so I did have to shut down one of my VMs for this to like play back quickly. Otherwise, it was a little bit too slow. But this is cool. Anime, movies. I just gotta wait for it to like, you know, go through and scrub all the metadata. The Naked Gun collection. Check that out. I put them all in one folder and it figured it out. This is actually cool. UGREEN, not bad. Not bad at all. This is doing a really good job. So I didn't know it was this good. So the Video Center is really cool. This could work just fine if you want to use this, or you know, if you want to use Jellyfin or Plex, you can do that too. But this is very similar to Jellyfin, Plex, MB, all those. And this is leagues ahead of a lot of the other apps that I've seen from other NAS manufacturers. All the seasons right here. Recent updates. It's just pulling stuff still. So these things are going to, you know, they're getting thumbnails as they import, and it's taken a minute, but if I leave and come back after a while, everything will be updated and all look like this. But once it's all updated, I really like this interface. Now that, you know, it's not as crazy with all the processing that it's doing, it's running a little better. Now let's have a look at the Photos app. I have dropped a whole bunch of photos just from my Japan trip, and they're all categorized now, so I can click on albums. And I also am using a few of these tools over here. So we have some different tools we can set up. For instance, let's just go ahead and click on custom learning. So this is kind of interesting. With custom learning, you can train a model. It'll find your pictures based upon your own training data. So if you want to use your own, or you can import a model. So that's one option you have there for categorizing all your stuff. You've got text recognition, which I'm not going to use because I don't take a lot of pictures of text, but similar photos, scenes, etc. All these different things that you can download. Model training package. So you'll need to download those things and then activate them. Transportation, it's like, oh, these are cars. So it's recognizing that, which is pretty cool. And then it can come through and tell if, this is a place or whatever, it knows what it is. We're going to be warned about lots of duplicates, but yeah. Ginkgo trees are pretty, by the way. So that's the photo app. One other thing, let's say, this picture of this tree right here, I want to send it to somebody. Click on the three dots right here and click on share. Click on share right here, and what it's going to do is generate a URL. Now, if you're using their sharing service, well, then you'll be able to use that URL. Otherwise, you're going to need to use the DDNS service to set something up, because if you send this to somebody that's not on your network, it won't work. So you'll have to set that up on your own, but that goes beyond the scope of this video. That window was fun. Oh yeah, remember this? God, these were the days. Wow. And look at this place, would you? These are phone pictures from a long time ago. Look at this, a whole gymnasium full of this stuff. Wonder what this stuff's worth today. All right, so that's the photo app. And don't forget, UGREEN has 20% off going on right now to celebrate World Backup Day. That lasts until the 31st, and it's up to $300 off some of these units. All the links to both Amazon and UGREEN's website are down in the description. So if you're going to grab a NAS, get it before the 31st. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface with all this stuff. There's so much that I could cover just on the UGREEN OS. Maybe I'll do a separate video just looking through that, but it's all about, what you need. I think a lot of people can navigate their way through that pretty easily, but if you want to know some advanced things like what you can do with some of the virtual machines, getting Jellyfin up and running, maybe setting up external access with no IP or some DDNS stuff, let me know. Maybe we can do some of that. So put your comments down below. Let me know what you think about this. Thanks UGREEN for sending this over, because it's ridiculous and fast. And I'll see you all in the comments. All right, next up, let's take a look at the expansion.